I woke up to find that fire was raging in my escape pod. It looked like I was the only member of the documentary team to make it to this one, but pretty soon my survival instincts kicked in, and I picked up the fire extinguisher that was luckily lying on the floor. Thank God for health and safety regulations now. And I set to work on the fire, and pretty soon it was all gone. The first rule of Documentary Club was to assess your surroundings, so I took my trusty flashlight and looked in the ocean which surrounded me. I found weird little fish, and I caught them with my bare hands. And I also had my first brush with the monster which I later came to call the hemorrhoid monster. One of my most interesting finds from my first foray was a floater. It was a strange ball of jelly which I could throw and it would float, hence why I chose to call it the floater. I may be the first pair of human eyes ever to have laid sight on it, so I thought it should have a good name. And it always seemed to just float back upwards, so I was safe in the knowledge that generations to come would read my diaries and see that I had chosen a good name for that animal. The ship which I had crash-landed on looked about to explode. Oh, I should dive down. I hope I don't get radiation sickness. In the days that followed, I went underwater spelunking, and there was weird fish that jumped out and exploded at me. Ugh. Of course, eventually, my mind wandered to food. Back when I'd done this show on Earth, I just had to go to the nearest ship canteen. But here, I had no chefs, and I had to catch fish with oddly shaped eyes for my supper. I did love a good fish supper, you see. It was one of the rare luxuries I afforded myself. I remembered a recipe that my grandmother had given me for cooked fish, and I thought, you know what? I think I can cook this fish the same way. Well, not the same way, but with a fabricator, because that's easier. With food in my belly, my situation finally dawned on me. I was stranded on a sea world. Yes, some sort of blue planet. But luckily I found the things I needed to construct an oxygen tank, which was useful. It wasn't long before my travels took me away from the safety of my escape pod and into the creepvine forest. Now I picked some of the seeds and I heard some creature roars, so I decided to get the heck out of Dodge, but unfortunately not fast enough. I had to shine my torch at the thing that was attacking me. It looked to be some sort of space alligator. I wasn't sure. I'd call it space alligator for the moment, but I thought that I'd come up with a better name in future. I got some air from my trusty pipe, only to be attacked again. So I swam away from it, as all good documentarians learnt to do, swim away from the danger. Luckily, I had my trusty survival knife now, which I had put together out of some metal I had found on the bottom of the ocean. And I decided to go fuck you, nature. Because I'd been nice to it all my life. Why shouldn't I change now? In my later years, I once again encountered my foe, the space crocodile alligator thing. So I threw a floater at it, but it didn't really work. But eventually, it stuck to him and seemed to hurt him. I loved that my floater was coming in handy, and it allowed me to make all sorts of rude jokes to myself about floaters as I quietly sat in my escape pod, by myself, contemplating my lonely existence and the increasing probability that I was going to die sad and alone on this watery planet. Of course, as time progressed and I gathered more materials, I managed to build a welder, using my old Boy Scout tricks and the handy fabricator on board the escape pod. And basically this welder was a much improved version on the ones of my childhood, with an easy point and click interface. You just hold it over the thing and it fixes it. I heard a new message had arrived and decided to push the big red button.
This is an automated bounce back from the Aurora mining vessel. Your distress signal has been received.
Yay!
An emergency relief team will be dispatched to your location. Estimated arrival time 9.
Oh, that's a lot of hours. Oh, I don't want to be waiting here that long. That's like more than 4 days. Oh. Give me audio then. Oh no. Someone else survived. I will have to go searching for them, but for now, my camera's batteries are draining, and I must leave you all until the next episode. I hope you'll all join me. Goodbye.